On this edition of Wi-Fi Sheep Channel News, a COVID disaster, 2022 exhibition show dates, Tiny Basic Computers and update, brand new C64 projects, and I bought my very first RISC-V dev board.
But first, do you have a need for reliable and cost-effective web hosting for your blog, business or personal website? If so, then look no further than Cheap Host UK. Cheap Host UK's basic plan starts from only 58 pence per month, that's £6.99 a year. And if you're needing a little bit more, Cheap Host UK's premium packages start from just £1.41 a month or £16.99 a year, complete with a free .co.uk domain. New customers can also take advantage of an extra 10% discount when purchasing any first-time hosting, package or domain name from Cheap Host UK. Use discount code SHEEP, that's SHEEP, to get an extra 10% off. For reliable, cost-effective web hosting and domain names, look no further than Cheap Host UK. Full details and an affiliate link are in the description to this video.
Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome back to Wi-Fi Sheep right here on YouTube with me, Tom. I think first of all I need to explain what's been going on. First of all, apologies for the poor lighting and sound. It's probably quite apparent to you all that I'm not in my normal base. Basically, some of you are aware that I have tested positive in the past 2 weeks for COVID-19. In fact, I've actually got a test. There you are. That's the test from yesterday, which I think kind of proves the point. I've been away working, and I was staying up here in North Yorkshire, it's North England, with my parents as accommodation, and basically we all got struck down with COVID-19. First of all, thanks very much for all the supportive messages and those of concern. I want to reassure everybody that I am absolutely fine, and everyone else here is absolutely fine as well. It's just like having a sort of bad cold. It's mild, but because I want to do the responsible thing and not take this back home with me and obviously spread it to loved ones and vulnerable people back home, I've elected to stay here, which is putting a bit of a delay on everything, unfortunately. So that's why I'm doing this video under the weather and in less than ideal conditions. Hence, I don't have any of my recording equipment, so this is literally just the laptop. And we'll just have to make the best of it. Anyway, that said, as I said, thank you so much for all the kind messages, but you know, there's no need to worry. I am perfectly fine, just rather under the weather, as you can probably tell. So let's move straight on to show dates. So a couple of events coming up, which now I've had COVID and I'll be over it, I should actually have some good immunity for, so this kind of has a silver lining. The one I've been pushing, you've probably already seen on the channel, the 40th anniversary retro computing exhibition being held at the Centre for Computing History on the 21st and 22nd of May. Now, for this, I actually plan to have two BBC Micros, Model B, 1981, 1982 Model B machines. And I really do need to get home because those machines need some work. One of them has a ULA fault, and the other one just needs some updates, and both of them need sort of tidying up and cleaning. So that will be a pressing project video we'll be doing on the channel very shortly. As I've been stuck here, and thank goodness I actually brought my work hard drives with me when I came up, I've been working on Nanogangs under emulator. That's my basic written 2D platformer game that many of you will know. It's been a rolling project for many years here on the channel. And I've actually been doing some work and tidying up, because if you're going to have retro 8-bit machines, it's kind of nice to have your own code to run on them. So I've been doing a few versions of Nanogangs that I'll be running at the show itself. So I hope you can join us for that. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in person. It should be a really good show, actually. So moving on to July the 2nd, and I'm going to be at the Liverpool MakeFest event. I've been invited to attend, and we'll be showcasing Tiny Basic Computers. Now, this event could have as many as anything from 5,000 to 7,000 visitors through in one day, so it's going to be quite a good show. Unfortunately, it also clashes with another event that I'm actually going to be present at, but not physically. So also on July the 2nd, MUG, that's the Midland user group of Risk OS, are holding a summer virtual show via Zoom. I have been invited to attend. Unfortunately, obviously, I can't physically attend or be on Zoom because I'm going to be busy in Liverpool. However, the organisers have very kindly offered to host some content on my behalf, so I'll be doing a small pre-recorded presentation, and I'm also hoping to premiere the final episode 6 of Risk OS Direct there on the Zoom call at the show. So there'll be much more details of that when it comes up. If you want to find out all the events are going to be at, everything that's going on, including all the links to the event website, you can find those by going to events.wifisheep.co.uk. That's events.wifisheep.co.uk. Okay, Tiny Basic Computers. So if you don't know what this is our long-running build your own 8-bit computer system project that we've been running here on Wi-Fi Sheep. So of late, there's been a few developments. We did a pause at the end of last year. We've not got back to it as yet, but since then I have started employment on a spot hire basis with a company called Gocart UK as a tutor and teacher. And the company has licensed Tiny Basic Computers for use with school-aged children. So for that, I created a simplified build, and this also included a breakout board for building a kind of crude version of Altair Pong that just about fits inside the 1K of RAM and uses physical buttons and LEDs to kind of simulate the ball going back and forth. Very, very cool, and it's been great to actually bring some revenue in through doing this project. So what I will be doing is I'm going to do a version of the Pong build here on the channel for you that have been following along with your traditional Tiny Basic Computer builds. And we'll be doing that at some point, and the code will go available, of course, to our Patreon backers. We're also going to be looking at the AlphaWorks Tiny Basic Computers build. Now, AlphaWorks is a sister project happening independently in Australia. A chap called Scott Junior, who's been very helpful and very supportive, and actually posting source code back to me to allow me to keep the Wi-Fi Sheep version of Tiny Basic Computers kind of up to date and running. So we're going to look at his board. He sent me one of his kit boards. Now he's doing commercial hobby kits out of Australia. And he sent me one of the boards. I sent some of the Tiny Basic boards in the Wi-Fi Sheep versions in return. But he's also said that he will license the ROM for the AlphaWorks version. It should run on the Tiny Basic Wi-Fi Sheep Tiny Basic boards. So we're going to look at that in more detail. If you've been following me on the Facebook group for Tiny Basic Computers, you'll know that I managed to port my build onto the Raspberry Pi Pico, which is the 32-bit ARM dev board created by the Raspberry Pi Foundation. I've also been looking at trying out some different basic interpreters and even some light operating systems on a number of different sort of dev boards and chipsets. And I fully intend to do a brand new Tiny Basic Computers build. Basically a new chip, new central processor. So we're looking at more power, more RAM, SD card filing support, and even colour graphics. Now I want to show you this. This is taken from the Patreon only live broadcast that was done on New Year's Eve. This was just last year, literally the last day of last year. And I want to show you this. This is a demo I have, and it uses the existing Atmega 328P 8-bit chipset, and it uses the 1K Tiny Basic. But you can see here we actually have a full colour 640 by 480 pixel system, including the ability to have 256 colours on screen and much higher resolution. So this is kind of where I'm thinking we're going with a new build, but we can add more power, more RAM, more features. That'll make it a much more useful system. So I'm really hoping to have something maybe tangible by July of this year. So do keep posted to the channel. It's come to my attention that the ZX Spectrum has celebrated its 40th birthday, and by sheer fluke I actually have mine with me. I don't normally carry this around because mine doesn't work, and I'm not a big ZX Spectrum fan. But again, due to my work with Educraft, we sometimes need computers to use as props, and I take mine with me when I was going to work to show as a prop. But all the same, the ZX Spectrum was an important computer, so a very happy 40th birthday. We will be carrying on shortly with our ZX81 rebuild and repair. You may remember that a fan of the channel, Simon Pryatt, he's also a fellow club member at the Stafford Raspberry Pi Jam, actually gave me an unworking ZX81 and said, you know, would you like this, you can do it up on the channel. I've actually bought some new bits, so it is fully intention to get back to that, and we'll get our ZX81 up and running again at some point. Now, the C64, and I have to admit, this is the gift that just keeps giving. I have to say, I've been a little bit disappointed with the Amiga sort of release of late. And you know, I'm not really that interested in that, so we haven't really touched it here on the channel. The mouse for the Amiga, it was meant to be this tank mouse clone thing that was coming out. Looked interesting because it would actually be compatible with the C64, and I thought it would look the part. I have to admit, I've been disappointed that this new mouse clone is actually underscaled. It's smaller than the original, which is kind of a shame, really. So I've just been like, not really that interested. Saying that, I do actually have a plan for 2 new C64 projects, all surrounding the C64 mini system. Now, if you remember, originally we got a mini, wasn't that impressed with it. Broke it up, did a repack and rebuilt into a new sort of maxi system. That's probably one of our most popular videos here on the channel. Well, this has left me with the case for the original Mini, and I was wondering if it was possible we could build a new electronics board to fit back into that Mini to create a new system. So that's what I'm going to look at, and again, I'm hoping to have that ready for July. Also going to look at jailbreaking the C64's Linux-based operating system. There's a few unofficial firmwares floating around now, and I'm just thinking it might be a good idea to take the repacked Mini and seeing if we can actually expand the system to get it to do things that it was never intended to do, including running things like a Linux desktop. So that's the plan for 2 videos for the C64. And finally, maybe because I've just been ill and sitting in front of eBay for way too long, but although admittedly this came from AliExpress, I have ordered a brand new RISC-V based system on a chip board. This is the Mango Pi MQ Pro D1, which is a RISC-V system on a chip type board. I've ordered the 1GB version. Basically, it's in the same form factor as the Raspberry Pi Zero, but it's not as powerful as the Raspberry Pi Zero. It costs a little bit more money, and at time of recording, there is actually no operating system for it at all. There's no support for it at all. You can't run an OS on it. So quite why I bought one is a bit of a mystery to myself, but I've been very interested in RISC-V architecture. This is one of the first one that's come up that's relatively affordable. It's just under £30 its cost in shipping and tax to get it here to the UK. It's on the way. Hopefully, by the time we get to review it here on the channel, there will actually be an operating system. There should be some Linux kernel for it at some point. So hopefully there'll be something we can actually use it for. And I just want to test the new architecture because I honestly think that RISC-V architecture is going to be the way forward as opposed to ARM. So I was very interested in jumping on board when prices came down enough to justify it. So I'll be very interested to see what this new board is like. It's going to be an interesting review if we can't boot it, but I'll let you know how that goes when I get the board. Right, well, if you made it through to the end of the video, then thank you so much for your company and continued support right here on Wi-Fi Sheep. If you want to support me, you can do so on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Wi-Fi Sheep. You can join from just $1, £1 per month. There's lots of additional features and content available if you do. You want to find out what the latest news and what's going on, you can follow me on Twitter. It's at Wi-Fi Sheep. That's at Wi-Fi Sheep on Twitter. And remember, our events calendar can be found at events.wifisheep.co.uk. That's events.wifisheep.co.uk. As always, thank you so much for your continued company and support. I honestly hope normal service will resume real soon, and I hope to see you next month at least one of these shows. If you haven't done already, please do consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you real soon right here on the channel. Until next time, look after yourself, and bye for now.